560. David Stryzewski joining us now, Sound Planning Group. David, welcome. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing fantastic, John. How about yourself?
Good. Fine Monday here, although, our VP, who is now, of course, running to be, President of the United States, has made some big plans, $1.7 trillion in spending, $25,000 to new home buyers. She's going to, basically price cap grocery stores because they're just making too much money. David, where does this insanity stop?
Well, John, it's great to be with you. The middle class, everyone wants the middle class to do better. Everyone wants pro middle class policy that's going to go into place. And so here's the challenge right now is we're in an election year, and they didn't get a primary to actually test these different ideas.
True.
And so she just came out last week and announced all these things about, hey, $25,000 new, down payment program for first time home buyers. Hey, we're going to be paying off college. We're going to be paying off medical debt. She's obviously, appealing to a certain group of people, but,
True.
When you're not talking about how you're going to pay for this, that seems to me kind of like bribery. I don't know if that's really
No, that's a good way of saying it. No, I was thinking the same thing. I was typing my notes out today, thinking about you and kind of reviewing some of this. And I'd already heard about this stuff even before, scheduling you. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is voter bribery. You're literally buying votes with this stuff. The reality, and you're a financial guru far more than I am, nothing she has promoted yet won't do anything but cause inflation.
Well, exactly. I mean, if you give $25,000 as a down payment, as an example, to somebody, what's this going to do? Well, a lot of these first-time borrowers, or maybe they're just brand new to our country and this is their first time getting a loan within our nation, they would qualify, especially because they're not Caucasian.
Right.
These particular individuals are going to be, they've got more problems than just a $25,000 down payment. They've got, credit issues. They've got payment histories. And, of course, what happens when things don't work out, but we give people houses?
That didn't come out very well in 08.
Damage. It's worse.
Yeah.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, well, and really quick on top of that, too, and I read some articles on this, David. I want to get your opinion on this. The minute that certain sectors of the housing market, those first-time houses, they hear of this deal where you're going to give $25,000 to certain home buyers, David, what do you think the price of the home just did?
It just went up $25,000.
There you go. At the end of the day, it's a net nothing.
Right. And then when we're sitting here talking about will the Fed drop rates, then we're going to get into this waiting game on, well, I'm not going to go quite yet because it hasn't dropped. And everyone's expecting it's going to drop 2% by the end of next year. So then the housing gets stalled out even more, though. And so the point here is that this is not a well-thought-through idea that's being presented. This is hey, let me just kind of make a plea here, see what we can get on the board. They're doing their DNC thing here this week.
Right.
And ultimately commissioning her as the person to go forward. I just think it's pretty amazing that there's never been another president that won a primary that's getting stepped down here this close to the race. I think they misguided this thing, and they're kind of trapped right now, and I don't think they're very happy with it.
Well, but they are playing it. Yeah, by the way, I agree with everything you just said. Spot on. I've said that all along since all of these decisions were made. You're 100% correct, but they're going to run this thing all the way through. They've got the press on their side. That's one thing that they do have in their back pocket is they can couch this thing pretty much any way they want. They can even make some of these things you and I are talking about right now, which are very bad fiscal ideas, but they can couch that. The press will couch those as great saviors of the economy. Let's for a minute talk about this, David. Let's put a cap on grocery prices. How does that work out, by the way?
Okay, so price controls never worked.
Nope.
Decreasing competition literally raises prices. What has to happen at a grocery store is that the grocer gets stuff in bulk at better prices at different times. They offer sales. Those are price adjustments. What you're going to just see is every store is the exact same thing in an environment like that. That is an anti-American idea. It has not worked. It leads to food line shortages, and this is a proven thought.
Yep.
So what's amazing about the headlines right now is just even going into the price gouging stuff. They're able to change this, the outcome. Inflation is being caused by greedy corporations, so is being said. Well, that price gouging is happening. Do you know that the average grocery store right now, I looked this up today, is making 1.6%?
I was going to say it's usually under 3%, so I didn't look it up, but I was going to say under 3, so there you go.
That's not price gouging. This is not the cause of inflation that they jacked up prices. These guys are starving right now, and you've got higher input costs that have gone into it.
Right.
Diesel costs more. It costs more for all the things that are going to ship it, grow it, etc. And so,
well, everything down the line, including wages, benefits, and so on, has increased. What do you expect the price of food to do?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to go up.
So the question is, how long is the consumer going to hold on?
And by the way, I appreciate what you just said. In fact, you just told me something that I'll continue to add in. I hadn't really thought about. You put price control in. You no longer even get those deals at the grocery store. Everything becomes the same price. You put the mom and pop grocer that may be in your local area out of business. Those guys are no longer around. You think you've got monopolies now when it comes to grocery stores. It even just increases that.
Well said. Absolutely true.
So here's a dumb question on my part. How do we communicate to that low-educated voter that thinks, oh yeah, price control? I want to, Kamala's out saying that a loaf of bread costs twice as much now as it did under Trump. Which, by the way, that should also be a selling feature for Donald Trump. It's twice as much now under your leadership than it was under mine. I mean, some of this. How do we educate that low-education voter of what I just said?
Well, I believe that the American public is smarter than just listening to headlines. At least I want to believe that this is true. When everyone goes to their bank accounts at the end of the day, we can recognize $2.1 trillion of saving that really accumulated actually till 2022 has now been wiped out. Paycheck to paycheck Americans are now credit card to credit card.
Right.
We've got inflation that's increased over 25% since President Biden took office. 25%. So if you made $100,000 before, your buying power is now $75,000.
Right.
How do you put more kids through school? How do you pay higher wages as an employer? How do you continue to do this? And of course, right now we're seeing inflation happen and continue to go up. Just look at the price of gold. It's telling you it takes more U.S. dollars to buy gold.
Right.
Gold is now the new standard by which everyone is flexing up or down relative to. It's no longer the U.S. dollar. So how do we communicate to them? I think that we just have to just speak plain English, like I think that you're doing, and like I hope that I am as well, because people right now have to wake up to the fact that we are trying to be deceived right now by a specific candidate.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump is Jesus, okay?
Me neither.
I'm just trying to say
Me neither. But of the two, he's a better choice.
The guy right now that's got an idea. So, yeah, and
well,
our nation forward.
I'm trying not to stutter, but the reality there is at least no, Donald Trump's not the savior, but at least I know what he can do for economic policy, what he can do when it comes to the Supreme Court and some of the things that we've had that have even come down of late, the Chevron ruling and so on. I mean, David, right. He's not the savior, but at least I know what his track record is.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is Kamala's on the job right now. She says, if you give me a chance, oh my goodness, you still got 6 months left.
Yeah, you are in the midst of this. Right you are the second in command, if you would.
Yes, I mean she was the border czar. This is an undisputable fact, even though they erase it on Google.
Right.
The point here is that we have a massive immigration issue right now in our nation, and maybe they want them for boosting up the votes right now. Maybe they want the electoral college, because everyone moved. I'm not sure what the play is on this, but we've got a lot of people in right now, and there's a lot of challenges that this is going to ultimately bring.
You talked about gold a moment ago. My brother-in-law and I were talking about gold a little bit yesterday as well. Give me your thoughts on, for those folks that are listening that are thinking about getting into gold. Do you buy gold in certificates? Do you buy real gold itself? What are your thoughts on all of that?
Okay, so there's a number of ways to do this. A lot of people are looking at physical gold, if I can be honest, and I like the idea of owning physical gold. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can, physically custodian it yourself, or you can use a COMEX level facility like what I personally use is the Delaware Depository, and so I can put gold over there. They keep it, silver as well. And then ultimately I could get loans against it if I would personally choose to do so. The challenge is that Costco's not set up to transact with you in your gold and silver, although I guess they're selling gold now. But they're not going to give you change for your groceries this weekend if you go and use it.
Right.
So I also like the miners. If I can say this, they are way undervalued in comparison to other things. There are challenges with mining. You got to get it out of the ground. But if you look right now at silver is where the opportunity is, John. It is 40% below its all-time high, while gold is literally sitting at its all-time high right now. Okay. If you were to just take the 15-to-1 ratio that the gold standard was for hundreds of years, that would make silver at $167 an ounce we are literally sitting at less than $30 silver right now. So you can do the math on that one. This is a once in a lifetime, in my opinion.
Okay, good to know. And I, by the way, it's funny. Everything you just said, I gave the exact same answer to my brother-in-law yesterday as we were talking. I'm just not a paper gold guy. I just think there's some risk involved with that. And for those of you that have it, okay, that's fine. That's you. I'm just saying, for me personally, David, I don't want to own something that says you own something. I physically want to own it.
And the last part to that is that when you're trading futures contracts, as an example, they have these breakers that happen. And when the dollar depegs from gold and silver, which will happen at some point in time, who knows exactly when, probably sooner than later, who knows. But the point is that at that moment in time, those breakers start hitting, and all the paper gold that you have and all the different claims on it, everyone's rushing into these positions, etc. What will happen is the physical is going to go up so much more because you're in possession of it. It has to get mined. You can't just automatically get more of it. It has to be produced. So that's the thought on that.
No, that makes total sense. Okay, you've got a book on a lot of the things that we're talking about. How do folks get a hold of that, and how do they get a hold of you as well?
Yeah, so best way to get a hold and check things out right now is to go to fedbubble.com. And so the Fed bubble is ultimately what is taking place right now. This is where I'm releasing a bunch of different things. I got a book coming out here. I'm delayed on this sucker, John. It's been just a hard time getting things finalized, but I'm getting closer.
Okay.
And then we're getting this all the way out into the people. But this is not the time to be complacent. Election years are critical. They matter a lot less, though, when you're risk diversified, strategy diversified, and tax diversified. You got to have all three.
Okay. And for those of you that'll be riding bulls and taming bears, and that's going to be out here very, very soon, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You got it.
David, as always, I appreciate it. I put the link up in our show notes. And till next time, you enjoy. I don't think I'll talk to you before Labor Day, so have a great Labor Day.
Appreciate you, John.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you very much. And for those of you